May 15th, 2025. We the people of Utah, May 15th, 2025. The White House. Attention, President Donald J. Trump. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, NW, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20500. Dear Mr. President Trump, pirates have hijacked and control of the helm of the ship of state here in Utah. Every branch of government is corrupt by these pirates. They have used the corrupt courts to silence honest voices while installing their puppets in key state positions. In Utah's corrupt political cesspool, conservative voters have suffered a vile betrayal. Shockingly, you've endorsed Rob Axson, Utah's current GOP chair, who brazenly condones this rot. Voters see these outrageous crimes as assaults on their civil rights, shattering Utah's electoral foundation. Let us explain. First, one glaring example is our current Governor Cox. He was eliminated as a Republican candidate through the state's primary convention process at the Utah Republican Primary Convention, where elected delegates voted on April 27, 2024. Phil Lyman won the vote decisively with 67.54%. In the statewide convention vote, Utah GOP Party Constitution and bylaws dictate if any candidate wins more than 60% of the delegate vote at convention, they are the nominee for the Republican Party of Utah on the general election ballot. There's no second chance. Primary to seek the party's nomination that lawfully exists. Phil Lyman was a Republican Party nominee, period. Imagine, Mr. President, if after being nominated as the Republican National Convention, RNC, you were then forced by the rhinos of the party into an additional race to secure the Republican nomination before proceeding to the general election. What if the rhinos had succeeded in a totally fraudulent second vote and placed another candidate as the nominee? Would you have accepted that? Second, Phil Lyman was unjustly forced to divert critical campaign funds donated by his loyal support to a fraudulent second primary election to defend the Republican nomination he had already won. This election, unsanctioned by the state law or party rules, was illegally thrust upon Lyman, compelling him to battle Cox against the nomination instead of letting him focus on his Democratic opponent and costing months of his volunteers' campaign time and resources. In Utah, the absence of a Secretary of State leaves elections under the control of Lieutenant Governor. Cox's handpicked running mate, this glaring conflict of interest where the governor's running mate oversees their own election, the door to fraud. This allowed Cox. Sorry, it's been a long day. Cox's failed to control the lieutenant governor's offices, to manipulate the process, usurping the elected delegates' vote, and unlawfully declaring himself the Republican nominee. In addition, a private company which conducts signature gathering campaigns was contracted by Governor Cox, seeking 28,000 Utah registered voters, which was the magic number needed to place Cox on the primary ballot. 11 signature gatherers subsequently faced charges of forgery and related offenses for submitting invalid signatures during the 2024 primary election cycle. Months later, an audit conducted by the Utah legislature confirmed that Cox failed to meet the 28,000 required signatures threshold. By then irreversible, Serious damage had already been done to Phil Lyman's campaign, and no corrective action was taken, which compounded the fraud when the governor proceeded with Governor Cox's as the Republican candidate. Although those involved have accepted plea deals, further criminal investigating into these matters, both state and federal, are required but are being stalled. Third, Phil Lyman sought justice through the courts to challenge these unlawful actions. Corrupt judges unjustly dismissed his cases, and the legislature continued to fail to act. The Republican Party, led by current Chair Rob Axson, who is MIA, concerning the elections theft. Cox and Rob Axson are tag teaming their support for each other and mutually benefiting against the will of Utah's voters. The only thing Cox was legally afforded was to run as an unaffiliated write-in candidate. Instead, Cox was placed unlawfully on the general ballot by his lieutenant governor as the Republican nominee. A total falsehood. Phil Lyman was forced to run as the unaffiliated write-in candidate, an absolute reversal of what should have happened. Lyman fought incessantly, securing 200,551 votes in the general election, setting a national record for the most write-in votes in a non-presidential election. Despite this historic achievement, the corrupt system continues to obstruct his rightful claim to the nomination and the governor's seat. Mr. President, undeniable proof shows your 2020 election was stolen, and we the people know you'll fight back. Fight back. Justice is coming. Likewise, Utah's 2024 governorship was stolen through the brazen fraud, and we won't stand for it. We demand state and federal GOP leaders alongside the Department of Justice join us to oust the lawless pirates who've hijacked our ship of state in line with your executive orders for electoral integrity. Axson, who is a complicit coward, did not demonstrate to be the fighter we deserve, to protect and voice and earn our trust to lead Utah's GOP. Following the convention, Axson had an opportunity to demand that the Utah election state law and that the Republican Party constitution be followed and advance Phil Lyman directly to the general ballot as Republican candidate. Whoever is advising on this matter in Utah is either woefully complicit in the theft of our conveniently ignorant of the facts. Phil Lyman, our American first hero, has fearlessly fought these pirates and has won the court of public opinion. He's our true Republican candidate and your true MAGA ally. Before and after he received your bold presidential pardon, the operatives that Axson has aligned himself with have been unable to win honestly. They unabashedly continue to scheme, lie, and defraud Utah's voters, trampling our civil rights. We earnestly implore you, Mr. President, to see through the pirates' treachery, those working to take down your America First agenda. We ask that you support and endorse Phil Lyman for Republican Party chair of Utah after withdrawing your ill-advised support for the spineless current party chair, Rob Axson. Please help us fight to reclaim our state for the people before this ship of state is lost forever. Make Utah great again. God bless you, President Trump, and God bless the United States of America. For liberty and justice, we, the people of Utah. Thank you, Mr. President.